Hello, and welcome to Effervescent, where we embrace a full circle approach to health. Before we get started on this topic, we are going to do some mindful breaths. You either know this or you don't know this practice, so if you're new, feel free to join us. And if you are, a returning subscriber, listener, then yeah, I invite you to join us as well. So Kinley, take it away.
Yeah, so today the topic of the video is stretching. And so I thought it'd be really cool to add in a little bit of movement and listen to your body, and you know your abilities and what you can do and what you can't do. So just make it yours. But if you can keep your eyes open for this one. And we're going to take the hands and we're going to extend them down towards the ground. If you're in a chair, just make it work. And reach your fingertips towards the ground. Try to sit up tall. If you're standing, press your feet into the ground and your hands are reaching towards the ground. So it's pulling your shoulders away from the ears. Okay. Now before we start, soften. Doesn't have to be super intense to stretch. And on an inhale, you're going to take your fingers and you're going to reach them as far as you can, all the way up overhead. Inhale, all the way up. And then put the hands together at the top. Exhale, bring the hands down through the midline, pressing palms together. And then release them down to your sides. Okay, I know your breath is you're breathing more than what I'm cueing, but we're going to do this 2 more times and at your own speed. So inhale, reach the arms as far as you can, all the way up. Open your heart. Even if you want to look up, then exhale, hands pressed together, down through the midline, and release down by your sides. And then one more time, the biggest breath you've taken all day. Open your heart, reach the arms up, even look up, stretch your neck. Exhale, press the hands together, and actually press them. And then release them down to your sides. Yes.
Ooh.
Good job, you guys.
Feels good. I was
that
a
actually
bit
felt good.
limited by my microphone, but that feels good.
I know, I've seen that. I actually hit the orchid behind me and I was like, oh, my bad.
Notice your senses.
Yeah. Good. Well, I love that. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
You were talking before we were airing.
For 2 hours.
Yeah, literally. We talk too much. No, we don't. It's just fun. It's fun when it's your little family. It's like we're just hanging out. Yeah. But what was I going to say? Oh, we were talking about how, oh my gosh, I literally just lost my train of thought. Okay,
fine.
Never mind. Oh my gosh, I wanted to say it. Now I can't remember. Gosh, whatever. Okay. Anyways, the topic of today's episode is stretching, as we were talking about. I wanted to talk about, as I was like kind of workshopping this episode, I wanted to talk about how stretching can mean a lot of things. Obviously, there's physical stretching, but as I was writing, I was like, no, you're stretching your mind as well. And so when you sit there and you decide to stretch your body, a lot of that is like deciding to be uncomfortable in the moment to then reap the reward of stillness and of stretching. Does that make sense? Because at least for me, and I don't know about you guys, but I have such a hard time slowing down and stretching, even though I know for a fact my body needs it and I know for a fact my mind needs it. And it's like, it's just that same old thing of knowing that something is good for you and knowing that if you would do it, you would feel better, and then you just simply don't, even though you know it.
You did a whole podcast episode of how to actually do the thing. So if you haven't watched it, you should go back and listen to it. I think it was like the second or third podcast we ever did.
Yeah, I think it was the second because it was during New Year's. And I remember feeling like frustrated, like, I just want to do stuff, and it's hard to like get yourself to do stuff. So yeah, I will link that up. There'll be that little card right here, editor Brighton. I always like to like give myself reminders of like where to put it. But yeah, the goal of this episode is I want to talk about why we should stretch. And honestly, Kinley and my mom know a lot more about why we should stretch than I do. So I want it to be more of a conversation. I know physically, obviously it's good because it, releases muscle tension, allows you to be more flexible and more mobile and whatnot. And I think most people know that, but I do want to get into like the nitty gritty of the other reasons why we should stretch, and then stretch our mind as well. Let me see my notes though, because I feel like I'm kind of going all over the place. Okay, so I had a question for you guys, because this kind of loops back to another episode we did, which is your body's talking to you. Are you listening? And so I have a question that we all should answer, and the listener as well can answer. where do you feel the most tight in your body? And if you had to guess, where do you think that part of you, what do you think that part of you is trying to tell you?
Mm-hmm. I mean, this is like the foundation of like what I try to share with people because I'm so passionate about it. But I even like think back to just barely doing the breath work. I actually want to like push the question on you, where, and to the listener, where in your body, if you need to do it again, where in your body do you feel the tension when you raise your arms up overhead? Because that is going to tell you where you're also emotionally holding. And it's also why I kept cueing, open your heart, right? Like, it's physical just to raise the arms up, but it's also emotional to let your heart be seen and pull your shoulders back.
Yeah.
We expose ourselves so hardcore on that.
I know.
It's true.
I know.
I'm like, let me tell you where I'm tight. And then I'm like, and that means
I know.
that.
Yeah.
It's fine. I always hold tension in my neck and shoulders. I raise them up to my ears if I'm not even realizing it, if I feel stressed, if I feel whatever. And so when I go to yoga or I try to focus on stretching, it's always like I look at usually women are in the yoga class, some men go sometimes, but and they have us do behind the back things and chest opening or anything with this. I'm like, how do they even move that way? It's just something I've never worked on or been able to do. And so for sure, it's my shoulders, it's my heart. I don't know, you tell me what that's called in like chakra. Is it my heart opening or is it my throat?
Mm-hmm.
It's both because you have like in the body, you have your primary breathing muscle is your diaphragm. People think it's the lungs, but it's actually the diaphragm, and that's way down here under your rib cage that pulls in the breath. But 90% of people are breathing in their secondary breathing muscles that are not meant to be breathed into, which are up here in the neck.
I do that all the time.
And then it's just tightening and tightening. And so, yeah. And then that affects your throat. So it can be both your throat and your heart. But it ultimately comes down to like, what do you feel like it is?
What about you, Brighton?
Okay, so I definitely have, like, I've literally had to go to an emergency massage therapist because of my neck, because one time I just woke up and I couldn't move my neck anymore. So, like, I absolutely think, like, you and I are the same that way. Like, I carry a lot of stress in my neck. And I also think, as I'm talking about it, it's once you say that out loud and you realize you're carrying stress in your neck or in your back or whatever, it's like once you have that awareness, then your body's like, oh, let me help you and like let me relax everything.
It's like, thank you.
Yeah,
noticing.
Thank you for Thank you for noticing. Thank you for having the awareness. And so now as we're talking about it, I'm like, oh, I feel like I can be more light or like I'm noticing. But throughout the day, like you're saying, it's like you're up here, you're scrunching your shoulders, you're like whatever. And I kind of view that as like so much energy is flowing from. Whoa, that was a loud car. So much energy is flowing from my head, you know, and like overthinking
like
thoughts.
up,
it's
literally.
like it literally is like the movement of going up. So definitely. And then another one I had that I was thinking about that I actually want to tell you guys about, but I also, this is gonna be a really funny question. Maybe I'll cut this out. What is the psoas muscle? Is that
I just got it massaged yesterday.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay, it's that like band, kind of not like the IT band, but it like comes around your hips, yeah? Okay, good, because this actually leads to a perfect segue that I wanted to show you. So the second place that I get tight a lot is my hips, and I think it's my psoas muscle. And I've gotten massaged before where they're like, oh my gosh, like, do you like ever stretch your hips out? Like, you need to do some like opening hip exercises and stuff. And I know there's a lot of, what is it called? Is it somatic exercises or releases where it's like, is that where you store energy or emotion there? Maybe explain that for a second and then I'll get into
somatic movement or exercises or releases is just saying you're releasing through the body. So it's through yoga. Stretching is a somatic release because you can do shaking, you can do dancing.
Cool.
I'm like, what research is being pulled up? I want to know.
In preparation for this episode, I was thinking about stretching last night at midnight. So I had to look into the research, and it's so fascinating because it says that scientists are just discovered that your stretching sensations have more power over your nervous system than your thoughts do. Now, I mean, that's a big claim, and I think your thoughts have a lot to do with it as well. So I was like, really? So I go on to read, and it says brain imaging showed that internal body signals from stretching bypass the slow routes to communicate to the brain directly with the nervous system. It's basically like, okay, if I say I'm going to think through something differently, and we try so hard to work on our thoughts all the time, but it's not as powerful than if you just, if you basically stand up and stretch and you let that go, it's telling the
From
brain,
your body.
we're going to change this. We're going to affect the nervous system even faster than trying to change it with our thoughts. So all along, our bodies have been trying to tell us, and this is something Kinley talks about all the time.
Yeah.
It's a faster way to affect the nervous system to stand up and stretch than to actually say, I'm going to have better mindset or self-talk.
You know,
I agree with
you're
that.
gonna say something?
No, you go first.
You know what's really cool about that is like I have experienced it firsthand, but to see that there's actually research to back it up is like, whoa, because when I started yoga and I was like, I hated yoga, but I started yoga therapy, I learned that when I sit in a stretch and I actually sit in the stretch instead of like stretch, okay, I'm out of it, sitting in the physical discomfort taught me to sit in the emotional discomfort tenfold.
Yeah.
And so then I learned to like love the physical discomfort in a way and be like, thank you, body. We can do this together instead of like, my body's fighting me. I'm fighting my body. Like, go harder, you know? I learned to soften with it. And then in my life, in my relationships, it was like, oh, this is intense, but I've learned to breathe through intense moments on my mat. Therefore, I've learned to breathe through intense moments in my life.
I mean, 1,000%. Like I've learned that in my own ways. And I think that this conversation has...
probably at the gym.
Yeah, it's the same thing. I think, okay, so there's a lot of talk right now, at least in, the online that I'm in, which obviously it's different than other people's For You pages and whatnot, but there is so much talk, and I've noticed this too, that really successful people, like a lot of them always contribute a lot of their success to like also going to the gym, because it is strengthening that same muscle of like doing something hard, doing something that's uncomfortable, and then relaying it to your life and other facets, or your other facets of life, if that makes sense. So I think, I mean, even if in my own way, I have an idea on YouTube where I want to like lift with CEOs or like other stuff, because there's such a connection there. It really is. It's like, I don't know how to explain it. I just love that.
The podcast, mind, body, soul, like it all is intertwined. Because even on my mat, like I'm learning to do it physically. So therefore, I'm learning to do it when I'm emotional, but then I'm also learning to do it when something is spinning in my head and triggering. Then it's like, okay, I know to breathe in this moment. Because on my mat, I'm panicking. Get out, get out, get out. Like my brain is going crazy. So when I'm off my mat, I know when my brain's going crazy, I can like breathe.
Your body can still push through, yeah. Were you going to say something?
Well, there's also, you're speaking into the other research that I found last night, and I love it. Yeah, and it says using interoception and proprioception as a core element of trauma therapy. So this is Frontiers in Psychology. So it's literally saying, it's a scientific way of saying to help your trauma, stretching and releasing like the fascia and all those things help our mindset. So it's all linked, and it's so cool to learn about it.
Yeah. This isn't stretching. One last thing on like the research front, and then I want to show you guys this this clip in this story. But I was actually researching for one of my YouTube videos, and I was talking about how there's a rise of run clubs and walk clubs, and there's more and more people that are wanting to do it, which is funny. But what's so interesting is I was looking at research online that says running. Okay, so there's a link between people that have like PTSD or has grown up in like really hard conditions, and then them doing like endurance sports. And so then people, like researchers, started to look into it, and they're like, hey, why is this like such a link between those? And I feel like I talked about this maybe in the walking episode, wasn't it? Where when you're moving and then you're doing that, it's the rapid eye movement. What is that?
Movement.
Yeah, bilateral movement. It's kind of in the EMDR studies, like you can start to work through emotional things as you are moving your body physically. So then I think about the quote that says like, movement is medicine. And that couldn't be more literal. And then you think about all these like cliche sayings that who knows the first person that brought that up or that said that, and it was probably like hundreds of years ago that that quote,
maybe.
thousands, exactly.
Yeah.
Thousands of years ago, people had that wisdom where then they say so succinctly, movement is medicine. But then I feel like we have to prove it, you know? And then hundreds and hundreds of years later, scientists come around and they prove,
Like, yes, you're
oh,
right.
that movement is medicine. Oh, great. Now that we have the papers to show it. Isn't that funny, though?
Yeah.
Like, it's just, yeah.
I love science catching up with things that what people have known for thousands of years.
Yes.
There's a lag for sure. And, you know, but it's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool to see it.
Oh, it's cool to, like, it's almost like you're, what is the word? Vindicated? Is that like what I'm
Validated?
Validated. I know, I was like, that's not the right word. Validated, you're right. It's almost like it just validates your own personal experience. But okay, so I wanted to talk about this because when I think about stretching, you guys are gonna probably laugh at who I think about when I think about stretching.
Ooh, I can't
like,
wait.
What I think about. I don't know if you've ever read the book Can't Hurt Me. So do you guys know David Goggins?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so at the very kind of near the end of the book, he talks about how he was struggling so much and his body started to break down, which obviously throughout the whole book, his body's breaking down in different ways. But he is talking about how he is getting so tight that like he's trying to move places, or I think he even like went to a grocery store one time and maybe passed out. I could be wrong, but this is all to say his body was getting so tight and he didn't know what was wrong, and like stuff wasn't circulating right through his body, and he went to the doctors and they didn't really know what was going on. He thought it was going to take him out, which is funny. This guy that went to Navy SEAL training and like ran on broken legs and like all this stuff, he now like thought he was going to be taken out later on because of this, and they didn't know what was wrong. Come to find out, he has a huge lump on the back of his head. Do you guys remember this?
No.
Okay, he has a huge lump on the back of his head / neck. And he was talking to this other guy, I can't remember his name, but basically it was either like a doctor, like a therapist, a physical therapist or something, and they were like, you were the tightest like human being I've ever come across. Like, you need to be stretching. And so,
And is that a compliment now? You're tight. Is it not? I feel like that's something one of my teenagers would say.
Yeah,
Anyway.
true. No, not tight in that way. It's like you are literally like he was just like, your body is so bound.
Yeah.
You need like thousands of hours of stretching to like undo what you have done to your body for years. So this is where it gets really funny, is then he talks about how then he started stretching for hours a day, because David Goggins doesn't do anything just for like, you know, he doesn't do anything half measures. He does everything to the extreme. So then he like in his book, he's like, I was stretching for hours and like I had this whole routine. But then he said he started to literally feel better and the bump on his neck started to go away. And so now he, like, if you look it up, David Goggins stretching, there's like David Goggins full stretching routine. And he's actually like a huge advocate for stretching, which I just find funny. Yeah.
That's cool.
Makes me want to, like, on one of our bonus episodes, do a stretching. Instead of a meditation, doing like a little
Wait, good idea.
stretching.
Good idea.
Yeah. Let me write it down. So
You can do it, because you know, literally though, like I feel like I wish I knew yoga and moves more and flows more so I can stretch, because when I go to stretch, I'm kind of just like, this is boring. But I feel like when you put it in like a flow,
it's so cool
it's
to like know.
way, it just
But then
feels
also,
nicer.
the more you do just move your body, the more you make up your own flow. And that
True.
is yoga.
True.
So just start stretching.
That's one reason I am excited someday when I have more time to do Tai Chi,
Yeah.
because I love that it's like a dance movement of stretching.
Yeah.
I think it's so cool.
We should look it up. I'm just gonna look it up on YouTube and see. But no, I've seen little snippets of it, and it looks so like beautiful and like calming. And then at the very end of kind of looking into the story of like of David Goggins, I actually saw that he has a quote. And I mean, I got this on Google. Hopefully he really did say this, because it said it was by him. But I thought that this was so interesting that someone like David Goggins would like acknowledge and say this. So his quote is, "The psoas muscle is the soul of your body. The more stressed your psoas is, the more your mind is stressed."
That link, right? It's the link between the mind and the muscles.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
I just think it's so cool that someone like a David Goggins would notice that, because I feel like people get him wrong in a way where he's like, stay hard and all this stuff, which he is, you know. But then at the very end of his book, I feel like people miss that he realizes like, oh, his relationships really mattered. And obviously he doesn't really slow down, but he just like acknowledges all the things that he didn't acknowledge for like years. And then that was one of them, was like stretching.
It's so
and stuff.
cool. I'm like processing it through a yoga standpoint of like, okay, your psoas is, it kind of, since it's so big, it like hits 3 chakras, but mostly second chakra, which governs emotions.
Yeah.
And there's a direct link between second chakra and intuition chakra, your 6th chakra, and that's your mental state. And so for him to be so big on mental state, and then to realize like when he addressed his second chakra, he was more clear here. Like,
That's cool.
yeah, it's just cool how much it like tracks in all languages.
How exactly. And I think, I don't know, maybe I just love the guy. He's just so funny to me. Like when I say I like David Goggins, I actually get looks that are like, oh, he's kind of crazy. But I'm like, no, he's actually way more intuitive than I think he even realizes that he is in that way.
Well, and
know?
maybe my problem is I always get 3/4 of the way through the book and I don't finish the ending. So maybe I just missed that part. So thank you for filling that in.
Yeah.
Same in
I mean,
movies.
obviously he still is so extreme in every front because that's who he is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just thought that it was so cool. I don't really know where to go from
Well,
here.
I just have like a quote in my head that I keep thinking of. Have you ever heard the quote, "I bend so I don't break"?
That's cool.
Like, and I was thinking it. Hello, I'm okay. I was thinking it when you were talking about David Goggins having a big lump on the back of his head, like, and then his body's literally breaking. And we as people, like when we get tight, we like pull out our hips, or pull muscles, or all these things. But like when you take the time to stretch, and there's all sorts of stretching, like there's yin yoga, but which is more like ligament stretching, but then there's muscle stretching through like other types of yoga.
You could even do stretching through weightlifting too.
What do you mean?
Like, so when you're doing an RDL or like, it's like hard to explain, but you can do like really light weights, and then the weight will allow you to go further in your range of motion, which will actually allow you to have better mobility and better range of motion because of the weight with it. Yeah.
It's just so good. I always think of like longevity and like old people, like if they are able to be more bendy, then they're way less likely to just like snap.
Yeah, I mean, it's fair. Well, and I think about dancing, because I was a dancer growing up, and I think that when you start and they're like, okay, we're going to do the splits, and you can barely maybe put your legs a little bit apart, but then every dance class you're going to go a little bit further and a little bit further, and you're supposed to be stretching at home too, and gradually you can do the splits, and it's comfortable. Like I remember sitting in the splits on both sides and center even, and being like, oh, this feels so good.
Yeah.
And I miss feeling like that, because range of movement was just so natural. I never thought about, oh, I feel tight here or here. It's just, it was built into my schedule. And I think it's so interesting if you relate it to even your brain. If we do a little bit every day, instead of all of a sudden being like, I want to be really flexible, so I'm going to do 100 hours, like you were saying, we get a lot of benefit just from the consistency and the patience. It takes patience to grow and stretch in any way.
Yeah.
I think it's a good time to just throw in that we have a freebie.
Yeah.
Because it very much is about stretching the mind, body, and soul. And I just want to make sure we mention it.
Yeah.
We have a freebie in the show notes that is a checklist, so that every day you make sure you're focusing on one thing for your mind, one thing for your body, and one thing for your soul. And stretching's on there.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that really is such a good it's such a good PDF. I really like it. Shoot.
I'm going to flip it back. I'm going to flip
Yeah.
it back on you.
Yes.
What is one way in your life you feel like you've stretched yourself? And it could be through, physically stretching, or in other ways that affect all the ways.
Oh, I actually remember what I was going to say, but I will
go.
answer that too.
Yeah, I love that.
I also view, when I do stretch, I view stretching as such a beautiful form of self-care. It's just like taking the time to really listen to your body in ways that like other ways don't really do. So if you're like running or you're lifting, or it's more of a rigorous activity and you're not really tuning in, where I feel like stretching is literally the exact opposite, where you're like truly listening to your body. So I think it is such a beautiful form of self-care. But ways I've stretched in my life, wow. I think it's doing anything over and over and over again, because you just get used to the load, and then you get good at it and then you're excited to do it again. I even think with like talking on camera.
Yeah.
I used to feel so weird talking on camera and like, or editing videos. Like it doesn't even have to be physical, but I do think like going to the gym, like all that stuff used to feel crappy, or I used to feel so awkward. And then over time, it just actually allows you to build confidence. And then you're like, oh, I can do that. Oh, that feels good. Oh, I want to do that again. Like it's a momentum thing, which I think is so important for anything. And I think it's that quote that essentially says, if you're not growing, you're dying. And you can be growing all throughout your life, even until death. I feel like you can be stretching and you can be growing in all ways. But yeah, what about you? What about you guys?
I love that you brought in how you're stretching like mentally. It's really cool. I would say one of the ways that I have stretched myself was hosting an international retreat. Like I jumped straight into
that's
not
a lot.
day retreat, not anything like that. Like I just wanted to go to Costa Rica with people and I like went into it, but
That's the David Goggins of like yoga.
yeah.
Just doing it.
Just do it.
Yeah. And it's still hard. Like it's still scary every time. I'm on my 4th one, but it's definitely the hardest part is like just doing it and starting to stretch. Because once you like see the payoff in any aspect, it's like, oh, I want that again.
Yeah.
What about you, Mom?
I always ask these questions and I don't know my own answer. Let's see. There's so many, because I agree. If you're not pushing yourself and you're not stretching, what's the point? It's kind of like you can try to maintain where you are in any aspect of your life, but I still feel like you start to slide because our minds are meant to grow.
Ever maintain.
And we're meant to develop and grow. And I know there's times of like more rest and more exertion, but having goals is so important and a big part of performance psychology. So I would say recently what I've noticed for me in stretching myself is trying to do things that used to be simple for me and fast, and now I can't see as well. And so it's so frustrating to sit and do something that I used to be able to figure out really quickly. And I sit down, I'm like, oh, I got this. Like I used to blog all the time, 2007, 2008, for like 4 years or something. I blogged at least 3 days a week. And I got so good at making my own blog site and my WordPress and all the things. And now I want to start a Substack, and I'm looking on how to hook it up and everything. And it's so easy now. It's like plug and play back to like when it used to internet started. It's so
you
easy.
have to build a website.
But I'm like, I
can't.
can't see all of the words on the screen or arrows or something. So I'll even go to ChatGPT and I'll be like, how do I do this? And I'll send a screenshot and it'll say, well, the arrow on the left is where you, and I'm like, I don't see an arrow on the left. So I'm stretching myself, just trying to keep going with something that used to be easy.
I think that, and forgive me if I don't word this right, but you're my mom, and so you know I have the right intentions, but in a way, since you are needing to work your mind and push harder, wouldn't you almost think that that is helping your brain stay young in a way, because you have to have that tenacity to do that? Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I would agree, definitely. Whenever you challenge your brain in a different way, it keeps it creating new neural pathways and growing, and it's emotional though. And I think that's when it does get, it's like the challenge, I'm choosing to do it. It's a choice. I could choose to not do it because it's too hard. I'm choosing to do it. Yeah. But then I flip into the emotion of like the loss, and I'm like, oh, I feel so slow or inadequate. I'm losing senses and abilities that were fast for me. Yeah. But you're right. Now I'm needing to develop other parts of my brain and even my determination to learn a different way. Yeah. But I think it's good.
Both are so valid. Like both perceptions are so valid. And I think that's where you shine, is you acknowledge the feelings and then you choose resilience. And it's like the foundation of all of your work, but like you live it day in and day out.
And it's hard. Like I get emotional thinking about it. I'm just like, I just want to sometimes just want to not, it would be easier. I'm at a place and age in my life when I could just kind of coast. And I have a lot of friends that choose that, not to throw anybody under the bus, but it's like you get to a point where your kids are kind of raised and you're kind of stabilized in your life. Yeah. And I could choose to be like, oh, I'm good. I
made it.
I made it.
Which is understandable. I mean, that's an
Which is understandable. And
thing, like,
sometimes I
'cause you
wonder,
did
why am
make
I
it.
not doing that?
yeah.
Well,
yeah.
you did make it, but you aren't just looking to there.
Yeah.
I believe that we have so much to offer and grow until the day that we check out. And even then, I think we're still growing.
Yeah. This is kind of a funny thought, but it is to that idea. It's this quote by Alex Hormozy, or this idea that he has, that he says, I want every single one of my thoughts and my contribution to be out into the world by the time I die. Like, I don't want to have anything left in me.
It's a cool way to think about it.
Yeah,
Love
me
that.
too. Because I'm like, it's so true. What is the point if you're not actively dumping everything you can out into the world that you think is good and needs to be there? And so I appreciate that you're still having that determination to dump all of your amazing, beautiful thoughts into Substack or podcasting or whatever, you know?
Thank you. And can I say, this is kind of call a challenge to my beautiful people, whether I know you or not. There's so many people that I know that have everyone has a story to share and lessons to share. And sharing doesn't mean you think you know it all. I am not sitting here thinking I know it all. I'm sharing because I believe that I learn from other people when they share their journey. And so I want to hear from the people that feel like they don't have the confidence to share their story. Even, you don't have to start a podcast, but even with your friends or your family, to open up and share what you're learning so that people can grow together.
Yeah.
Even DMing us, like,
Yeah.
we are here for you.
Love to hear.
And we are starting this podcast because, I mean, we've started it already, but we're doing this podcast because we feel like that's the most healing thing, is the real life stories.
Real life stories and real conversations about
Real
all of
emotion.
these things and stretching through it all and being uncomfortable. I love that. I love where this conversation went. Let me check my notes for 2 seconds.
I have something I want to say.
Yes, please.
And I've been like, Kate, where?
Yeah.
Where do I say it? When it comes to stretching, I think that there's a massive ego around what it's supposed to look like.
That's so true.
And everyone has it in their own way. Like, to some, it's like, I can't go to a yoga class. And to others, it could be, I'm not using bolsters or blocks, which I used to look at it like that. Going in, it's like, oh, you don't use bolsters or blocks unless you like really need them. And now I'm like, the most experienced people are the ones that are using the bolsters and blocks and asking for help.
What is it? Okay, let's just stop right there.
Yeah.
Bolsters and blocks in our life. Yes, in yoga. And where else does that go? We all need bolsters and blocks.
Asking for help.
Yes.
Reaching out, like investing in a course, asking for a coach, going to therapy. There's so many things, I feel like.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm on a rant, but
No, you're right. And oh my gosh, I thought about this meme, and I wouldn't show it unless it fits so perfectly. And I'll put it on the screen, but for the listeners, I will explain it in 2 seconds, but I guess we'll just have to cut this out.
No.
Actually, let me explain it first. So it's this meme about beginners versus the intermediate versus the advanced. And this can be in anything in life. So the beginner is sitting there and he's naive. He doesn't know anything. He doesn't know the right way and the wrong way. So he just jumps into
Fool's
it.
journey.
Yes.
Sorry, I have to say it. Keep going.
Yeah, no, I'm like, I think it's called a few different things, but
Yeah.
there's this meme that I just think is so funny. And so then once you know things, or you think you know things, that's the whole point. You think you know things, then you try and optimize it. Then you try and figure out hacks, and then whatever. And it like gets you into this like storm of
ego,
yeah. And then you become wise enough one day that you realize that the beginner knew exactly what he needed to do, and you come back down and do exactly what the beginner knows. The difference is the middle person looks at the advanced person as if they are the beginner, because they're like, why aren't they doing it all this way? Why aren't they optimizing? Why aren't they? But then
why aren't they in their head about it?
But then when you look, you realize, oh, they're the wise ones that knew that the beginner is what it needed to be. And so this meme is shared like everywhere. You have to.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that funny?
It's so ugly, but
It's so true.
I don't think I can look at it long enough to not laugh so hard.
That's awesome.
I thought it'd be this beautiful.
No, it's
That looks like the guy on Goonies.
Yeah, it does.
And I can't even see it well, but okay, but I have to rewind for a second and say, I said the fool's journey because you're the fool at the beginning.
I'm sweating now.
Sorry.
Maybe you need to upload this image, but maybe we don't want to show people.
No, I will. I'll
Okay.
upload the meme.
Okay, so you're it's the hero's journey is what it's called, but
Yeah.
you're like the full, like jumping in and like going for it. I'm the hero and I'm going to go on this journey. And then you hit ego. A lot of people study the hero's
Yeah.
journey everywhere.
Forever.
You come around, you learn it, and then you get to the beginning and you're like, but wait, this didn't go well. And I learned this. And then another thing hits. You're like, oh, I got to go on it again and
With the
again.
new
So it's
thing.
a cycle
So where
that
are
never
you in
ends.
your life doing that, and where are you in the cycle?
Yeah.
But this is
But to
awesome.
bring it back to stretching, as you're saying
Yeah,
with the
please.
bolsters, it's exactly what it is though. Like people, I had the same idea of like, oh, I don't want to use bolsters in a pad, like what or whatever it's called. Yeah. But you're right. The most advanced people know that that is the tool and they don't care about ego because they're wise enough to know that it helps you in whatever you need. And it really is that meme like that people say.
I want to explain a little more.
I was just going to say, you had something else to say, and I
sorry.
interrupted you
No,
like
it's okay.
5 minutes ago.
I'm so passionate about this because it's going to help people the most if they can actually breathe in a pose. And I think most people are like, okay, so I need to have my arms over my head, this knee bent, this leg straight, like we make it so pinky out, tummy in,
Put your
shoulders
right leg
straight.
in, put your right leg in.
Yeah, so kinked
Yeah.
to the point where we can't breathe.
And it's like, yeah, it's totally not the point.
And that's defeat. Like that is beyond defeating the point. The whole point is to breathe through the discomfort.
Yeah.
Like in yoga, breath comes before anything else. The poses are there to invite more breath and chi, which is energy, through the body. And so when you stretch, chi, blood flow, but also your energy is able to move through your body too. And so when it comes to like bolsters and blocks and stuff, I really encourage the people listening to, if you stretch at home, get books for blocks. If you don't have a bolster, use a couch cushion or your pillow. Like there are ways to do it that make it so your body can soften, and that's the whole point.
Yeah, and it goes back to the thing of if you just try and all of a sudden touch your toes and you haven't been able to do that, you're going to pull a muscle. Like you got to, stretch a little bit into the discomfort. But like, yeah, it's the whole thing.
And that's actually the number one thing people say, pushing back against yoga. I can't touch my toes. I can't even touch my toes.
Yeah.
It's just funny you say it because it's like the thing people say. And I'm like, bend your knees. This is what Soraya Bastion taught me. She's like, bend your knees. Bend your knees, bend your knees, bend your knees till you're squatting. Oh, look, you're touching your toes.
Aw.
I'm touching my toes. You can touch your toes.
Yeah.
Most people,
That's actually funny because I've invited Preston, my husband, to go to yoga with me. And that's what he says every time. And honestly, I understand what he's saying because not to throw him under the bus, but
cannot.
that man,
I
he needs to do some stretching desperately. But I mean, he knows it. And so I'm like, do some, like, let's go to yoga, whatever. And he's like, I can't even do the pose. Like, I can't even do it. And also, I will say that I think that also comes down to the yoga instructor as well. Because, like, as you were teaching, it's so nice because you allow people to do what they need, which is the practice of yoga is what you need.
Well, I actually, there are definitely a range of teachers. So I appreciate you saying that. Because I've even been in classes recently where I can't breathe when my arms are over my head. My shoulders are too tight. And so we were in chair pose and I had my hands here. And he stopped the class and was like, we will not move on until everyone's big toes are touching, knees are touching, and arms are over the head. And I've got wider hips. Ladies have, it's also a man, but we're going to leave that out. Like, not everybody's body can do that. So
that's like a Pilates class. Like, that's like a whole different set of, that's interesting. But
so, as a tip, like, there's Yoga with Adrienne on YouTube for free. That's awesome if you want to learn to start stretching.
Actually, oh my gosh, there's another YouTube guy. This will be my tip as well. Because I don't think I need to, like, give true tips because I think people know. There's another guy. What's his name? He's called like the Stretchy Man on YouTube. He's so funny. The most flexible guy I've ever
Please
seen.
show us a video, a picture. The last one is really entertaining.
I will, yeah. True, actually, like he's actually great. And he has this thing that it's like 10-minute stretch routine for every muscle. And he goes through like, these are the 5 stretches you need to be doing that hits every single muscle. It's the most simple thing ever. Oh, flexi guy. I think that's what it is. The flexi guy. Truly, like, I wouldn't say that unless like I actually have his video saved and I do it. And I do feel so good in every part of my body like after I do that. Anyways, yeah. Does anyone have any more tips?
I have a tip before we end. How often do we say, I can't do it because we've never tried? If we want to get good at anything like yoga or writing or anything in this world, if we look at it and we go, but look at this person, they're so good at it. Oh my gosh, I can't do that because they're good at it. But we have to start somewhere. If we want to write, let's say, I started in 2007 writing a blog.
Yeah.
And when I read my first entries from 2007, it was literally like a 2nd or 3rd grader. I swear. I was like, we went to the park. The kids had fun.
That's how my
and it's fine.
Right
it's fine. But that's where I had to start to
Yeah.
just start developing my voice and developing my story. And so if we want to be good at anything, just like yoga, we have to let ourselves not be a perfect yet.
Yeah.
We're not an expert. That's why we're practicing yoga, practicing writing, practicing stretching or anything.
It's that thought.
Yeah.
Don't compare your chapter 1 to somebody's chapter 10.
Yes, exactly.
I need to remember that in everything. It's so true. And I think allow yourself the self-care of stretching, I think is really my ending point with the listener here. Like, it's supposed to be for you. It's supposed to be to feel good. And I love that we talked about all of the ways in which we can stretch mind, body, and soul or spirit. And I also think, come back to yourself and you know exactly what you need. You know exactly what stretches you need to be focusing on, exactly how much to stretch yourself if you really tune into yourself. And I think that's the overarching theme in pretty much our entire podcast is to tune back into yourself. And that quote or the idea of knowing thyself is great.
Yeah.
So thank you guys so much.
That was
This was
good.
great. It was
Yeah,
so
so
good. For the listener, get our freebie, and until next time, bye.